Welcome back to Talk the Prospect. I'm Gayle Saunders here with Chris Mallee, and our prospect today is another dynamic threat out of Alabama by the name of JAylen Waddle. When I look up the definition of a waddle on the internet, it says walk with short steps and a clumsy swaying motion. That is the complete opposite of JAylen Waddle. This guy is explosive. He's not one-dimensional in any terms of the word. The guy can give you juice on special teams, inside, outside, get separation, get yak, be a dynamic field stretcher, be a yak monster, even get those contested catches, and at the end of the day, be a overall solid dude, a very humble dude. Just like his teammate Devontae Smith, just another talent that I'm really excited to talk about. Chris, how you feeling about JAylen?
Yeah, so JAylen Waddle, he's another wide receiver in the long line of successful wideouts from Alabama. I mean, Devonta Smith, he's the Heisman winner this year. Last year, you had Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy go in the top 15. And then prior to that, you had Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. I mean, the list goes on and on. JAylen Waddle, though, has a chance to be the most explosive out of that entire class, though. Last year, we talked about JAylen Waddle and Devonta Smith possibly probably being better than Ruggs and Jeudy, who both went top 15. And then now this year, we're talking about JAylen Waddle and Devonta Smith both going top 15 in this draft. He's an explosive guy, a little on the smaller side, 5'10", 182. People talk about him and they liken him to Tyreek Hill. I agree. I mean, the guy is insanely fast. He is estimated to run in the low 4.2s. We're going to find out soon at his pro day. He's coming off a really bad ankle injury, but he'll be good to go. I mean, he played in the national championship game. It hindered him a little bit, but he's been getting ready for this pro day, and we're really excited to see what he does.
Now you mentioned, like 5'10", 182. I think he's built. He's stocky. And
Yep.
the fact that you mentioned Tyreek Hill, he's like a Tyreek Hill light. And you look at it, maybe a Santana Moss. I've heard that comp as well. Like what he does to the Alabama's offense, he gives you a dynamic threat. They've lined him up in the backfield. They line up in the slot, outside. He's really stressing defenses out there. You have to make sure pre-snap where Waddle is lined up. And I think if you're a defensive coordinator and you don't know where he's at, and they move him, he's one of those guys that could be the chess piece. You move him around, look for the matchups. I've seen him get matched up on linebackers and safeties and cause havoc in the middle of the field. And at the end of the day, he's a guy that's not afraid to go over the middle and take the big kill shot.
And the thing with JAylen Waddle is there's so few players like him in the world, let alone the NFL. I mean, you have the Tyreek Hills, and then there isn't really that many other players like him. I mean, it's like you're talking about in reference to the chess piece. As soon as he sets foot on the field, every single coach on the defensive side, every single player on the defensive side is saying, where's Jaylen Waddle? Where is he lining up? How are we going to adjust to it? I mean, it's like having a unicorn on your side of the field, and that's what's really special about him. It doesn't take away with what makes guys like Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, doesn't take away what makes them special, but they do not have that game-breaking speed like Jaylen Waddle does. They're great playmakers, but Jaylen Waddle, I mean, he's special. 23.3 yards per reception, and it was leading the SEC before he went down in the beginning of the year. The stats in the beginning of the year against Mississippi, game 1, 8 for 134 and 2. Texas A&M week 2, 5 for 142 and 1. Against Ole Miss week 3, 6 for 120. And then last game before he got hurt against Georgia, 6 for 161 and 1. I mean, the guy was putting up insane numbers. I mean, people thought he might win the Heisman before he went down, and Devonta Smith ended up picking up the slack and the extra targets that weren't going Waddle's way. And it was insane. I mean, he's a guy, he racked up 557 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first 4 games before injury. And 2019, he was the SEC Special Teams Player of the Year, and we're gonna get talk about the other facet of his game, which is returning. I mean, he's just so electric. He's natural, natural abilities, and the big thing is his vision. His vision is really special. Same with Devonta Smith, and that's what allowed those two guys that are a little on the smaller side to mostly avoid injuries for their entire careers because they were really good at locating where the trouble is coming from, and they have really good wiggle.
Yeah. There's just plays that you see. Um, I mean, I guess from just playing football and just when you see a guy do a certain thing, like the way he does it on a field, and you're like, yeah, that's special. Like that doesn't normally happen too often, or just the way that just electricity or juice. Like he's the kind of guy that you could turn on a switch and he's gone. We've seen as Eagle fans, we've seen Deshaun Jackson have that switch, and there's not too many players that can turn it on. And when he's in the alley, he can just take off. Like that's why you see a lot of these screens. He's Devon, just getting that yak. He'll run right through a small seam. It's like he's running the kickoff return on these screens here because he'll find those small holes and take advantage. Interesting enough, he got hurt on a kick return. He took it out of the end zone. That's how he hurt his ankle on a tackle. I just feel like his game, in terms of the players that are on the Eagles, is he kind of like the same player but with more juice, like a Jalen Reagor? But at the end of the day, if you have two guys on the field that have that kind of juice, I'd love to see it. But ideally, me and Chris kind of on the same plane with Ja'Marr Chase being there. We'd rather have that alpha wide receiver one. Will I say Jaylen Waddle is not a wide receiver one? He's kind of like, that's the thing about his game. We haven't seen him yet be focused on as a wide receiver one. I think he would have had a standout 2020 season if he didn't get hurt. Would Devontae Smith actually win the Heisman if Jaylen Waddle didn't get hurt? That's a real conversation that could have been had, but that's not taken any away from Devontae Smith. I mean, he showed you what he could do while being doubled and having brackets over him, and that's kudos to Devontae Smith because he put the film out there. You saw it happen. We have yet to see that with Jaylen Waddle, and that's what it is. And that's if his stock meant that he dropped a couple picks down, that is what it is. He did get injured, but the dog mentality of him coming back to play in the national championship, and he said he just didn't want to. If they wanted me to come back as a decoy, he said I'd do that. Like he said they were going to risk him and put him in harm's way, but he said I would rather be able to contribute to get that ring. And he got a couple catches and they shut it down. But overall, what did that say to you watching him come back for the national championship?
It was one of those things where like you love to see it, but as you were scared. It was almost like when Alex Smith stepped back on the field this year after that gruesome injury, because I was like, it was really scary seeing Jaylen Waddle out there because he was visibly limping before the game, and after every catch he was visibly limping. But like it just showed that like how important the game was to him. He wasn't going to Alabama on like a free ride to the national championship. Those are his brothers. I mean, him and Mac Jones, they're super close. They talk about how they came in together as freshmen, and like that's his guy. I mean, straight out, like he said, like I wanted to make sure I was on the field, and I wanted to complete the mission with my guys, and it was just scary. I mean, I'm really happy that he had this much time to recover and get ready for this pro day. But it just shows you, man, the kid has a lot of heart, and it shows on the field because even being 5'10", he plays like he's 6'5" on the field. He's jumping over guys. He's putting his body on the line all the time. A lot of the film that we're going to be showing in just a few moments, it highlights that. I mean, dude jumps out of the building on some plays, and he just does like gymnastics. It's in the air. It's crazy. I mean, he has great hands. He's perfect infusion of like the speed, the body control, everything. I mean, he's really exciting. He's definitely one of the more exciting prospects in the last couple of years. He's electric.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that if I had to like if I was if I was High Roseman and I had to move down and I still got a Jaylen Waddle, that's still that's he's an exciting player. Obviously, fans out there will see the Heisman on the board or whatever, and if he's off the board, they're like, hey man, Devontae Smith, like, but at the end of the day, Jaylen Waddle is another explosive player. They're different style players, man. Like Jaylen Waddle and Devontae Smith are different, and I'd say Jamar Chase is different than both these. All three of them are different. But at the end of the day, they're all dogs, and they all have done it in the SEC. So how we get a skilled player from the SEC, you can't go wrong. Now let's look at some of these clips here. Um, these are some of the videos that me and Chris kind of picked out, trying to just paint a picture of what Jaylen Waddle is and what you can expect from his game. This one is entitled "Dog Mentality," competing for the rock here. I mean, this at the end of the day, man, the ball is up in the air and it's his. It's his. It's his. 5'10", with all the heart in the world, knowing that he's about to get rocked and the kill shot's there. He doesn't give a damn. He's and secures the ball with two hands. That's called awareness there, dude. That's ridiculous. That's Bolitnikov type vibes there. He looks like a gym. He looks like an ice skater. Like that's like art right there. What do you think of that right there?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I just alluded to a little bit ago. His body control's crazy. He plays a lot taller than he is, and it's really special. I mean, you just see the catch radius for a guy his size, and it's incredible.
Yeah. The next one on this play, this is showing off his ability to flip that switch I was talking about. On this play, he runs a post and go. This is crazy right here. Flashes the post and then hits him with the go, and he's still slowing down for the ball here. He's got to slow down. Like you hit, it's too, but just that separation that he gained with 5 or 6 steps, and he's out. He's off to the crib, addressed to the football, takes it to the crib, man. It makes that look easy, dude.
It just shows you if he's even, or even if he's a step behind, he's still leaving you. His acceleration is special. I mean, he in cut on that, and he still just put his foot in the ground, and then he was about 6 yards behind the defensive back. It's a pure example of him and Tyreek Hill. Like they almost lulled defensive backs to sleep. Like they'll be standing next to you, and then they're 20 yards down the field, and they're in the end zone.
Yeah, and when you have a dynamic threat on the outside, what defenses will do, will try to bracket you, get some help over the top, and make sure you're in check. But if you have the speed to bust brackets, you use it. So he's a bracket buster on this play. Just runs right by them. The fact that they have a guy, he's like, dude, the way that he got up on him at the end of that play, he's just like, I didn't know he was that fast. And with a perfect thrown ball, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with perfectly thrown balls, and a guy with that kind of separation.
It just shows you like they can try to double cover him, and it's really not going to work because he might even just get a pass interference at worst, or he might just be open because he's really good at tracking the ball. We saw him locate the ball over his shoulder, and in an NFL team, like people are like, oh well, that's with like having Devonta Smith and all these other guys next to him. I mean, NFL teams, like if he ends up on a team with another really good receiver next to him, you're not going to be able to double him especially if he ends up on, like, imagine if he ended up on like a Kansas City. He's not going to because they're way too late in the draft. But if like imagine him and Tyreek Hill in the field at the same time. That's why when we were saying like imagine him and like Jalen Reagor at full health on the field at the same time. It's crazy.
Thing that you've seen in his game, his ability to adjust to the football on this play, gets the defense in a bind, matches up with a linebacker, and they make him pay. And then the fact that you can get him in the slot here, and the linebacker's like, um, Yeah, you're not covering that, but he adjusts to the football, and that just also shows, if you get the wrong guy matched on him, a la Chase Claypool and Nate Gary. This play right here, showing that special teams ability. Guy almost rips his damn helmet off. He turns on the juice, goes the opposite side of the field, just outrunning players, and then he's got the convoy running it down the field, showing how special he is. You can't get him down with the face mask. He just changes that whole dynamic of that play, and takes to the crib, man. What do you like from that, Chris?
It just shows you that you're not just getting a receiver, you're getting an explosive special teams player as well. I talked about earlier, he was the 2019 SEC Special Teams Player of the Year, and that was against my LSU Tigers. And I was watching that game, and I was just like, LSU was about to make it 13-0, 17-0, and then that happened, and the game completely changed. We still ended up beating them, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what you
Oh,
look
flex,
for.
slight flex.
I mean, dude, like when we have Deshaun Jackson, like that was the thing. You could be losing the entire game. Look at the Washington game in 2019. Eagles came out really slow, and all of a sudden, Carson Wentz to Deshaun Jackson, bomb, touchdown. Carson Wentz to Deshaun Jackson, touchdown. Like, and it completely changes the game. You end up winning that game. There's so few people in this league that can do that. And like Jaylen Waddle already might be like a top 5 deep threat day one in the NFL because he's going to have that speed. And we're not talking about like a Darius Hayward-Bay or like a John Ross. Like, no, like Jaylen Waddle is like a certified killer. He's a guy that dominated in the SEC. He's a guy that's going to be extra motivated coming off of this injury, and he's just special. And it's going to be really interesting to see where he lands.
Yeah, I mean, look at that yards. Yards per catch, 21, 20 yards, 21 yards per catch, 17, 18. We're talking about like he's playing in the SEC with those kind of numbers. That's special. Coming down to our last couple clips here. This is just showing his separation here. This is slow motion. This isn't slow motion. Look at how much separation he creates there. That's ridiculous. When he turns it on and he flattens his routes, you see the instant separation from Jaylen, and it's crazy, dude. And you talk about his ability with Jalen Hurts. Another Jalen to Jalen Hurts. That's his little brother. They have a good relationship. He knows what he's made of. But this last play right here, basically, this is Jaylen Waddle showing that he's a quarterback's best friend. He takes a regular route, showcases the speed, turns on the switch, and he's off to the races. It's something that you can't like. If you got this, then you got this. So overall, man, this is what you can expect from Jaylen Waddle's game. He's another easy prospect to evaluate. This is why he's going to be a potential top 10 pick. Top 10, top 15. I think he could be a top 10 pick. He's just a dynamic football player and will add juice to any football team that he gets drafted by. Chris, last words on Jaylen.
Yeah, so in this draft class, you talk about Ja'Marr Chase, you talk about Devonta Smith, and then people talk about Jaylen Waddle and Kyle Pitts. The reason why Kyle Pitts is in consideration as a top 10 pick and even a top 5 pick is because he's a unicorn at his position. Kyle Pitts is really like a wide receiver that has the capability of blocking like a tight end. So for Jaylen Waddle, he's like the only guy in this class that is going to be running maybe a sub 4.240, and then you add that with the athleticism that to play like he's 6'3", and then you add that with like just the dog mentality, the IQ that him and Devonta Smith both learned at Alabama, and that's why it's really intriguing to have him put him above Ja'Marr Chase and Devonta Smith. Like, there's a reason why like Ja'Marr Chase had like the most insane season. Devonta Smith had the most insane season. But then you have a guy like Jaylen Waddle who barely played last year. He had an injury, but he's still being considered a top 10 pick because he's just that special. Every team in the NFL is looking for multipliers, guys that completely that keep defensive coordinators up at night because they had to figure out how they're going to stop a Kyle Pitts, how they're going to stop a Jaylen Waddle, and that's what Jaylen Waddle is. He's a nightmare. I mean, you have to worry about having coverage over the top, and he can play underneath as well. And then special teams, you don't even get a break from him. Let's say you get a 3 and out. All right, well, now you have to kick to this kid, and he's going to take it 80 yards on a punt return. So he's really intriguing. Gayle and I personally favor a guy like Jamar Chase a little bit more as like a true outside threat. That being said, Jaylen Waddle would be an excellent addition to the Eagles or any NFL team, and we're really excited to see him bounce back from the injury last year.
Final thoughts. Jaylen Waddle is he's a game breaker, has game breaking speed. He's electric, has the juice. I think he's an added element to your offense. He's someone who can add an element that an element of surprise. He can take jet sweeps to the house. You know, he's a vertical threat in the short intermediate game. He's effective out of the backfield. If you want to line him up there with your running backs, and then you put him on special teams. Just what Chris said. He's got a lot of opportunities to threaten. So overall, like he's a dynamic weapon. He's something to be respected. Put some respect on his name. He didn't finish the season, but I think he's going to finish in the top 10 in everybody's draft analyst hearts out there. So that's all for me and Chris. This is Talk the Prospect. Hopefully you guys are out there subscribing. If you guys have any other prospects you want us to look at, let us know in the comments. And as always, it's fly, Eagles, fly.